Start by telling me your name, class year, and major, and then your current profession.
Sure, sure. Ronnie Favors the second. I graduated from Xavier in 2006, and my major was political science pre-law with a minor in business administration. I currently reside in the DC area, and I work for Accenture as a contracts manager.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what kind of led you to pursue your current career path? It sounds like you were in
Sure.
political science and now
Mhm.
you're in a different space. What kind of led you to pursue this?
Yeah, so actually a funny story. Well, so I was in law school and during an internship, I was working in government contracts. So that kind of exposed me to that particular field in this area. I'm from Louisiana, so we didn't really have a lot of those opportunities, back at home. But in the DC area, that's very popular since all the federal agencies are pretty much in this area. So either you're working for the federal government or working for a private company such as myself, and you're doing work for the federal government. So I had exposure through an internship, and then I randomly met a guy in a barbershop who also went to law school, who also was a Xavier grad and was in my fraternity. And he was older. He graduated in like the early '80s, and he was doing contract management as well. And we got to talking. He kind of served as a mentor to me and said, "Hey, this is a wonderful field to be in this area because you're always in demand." And so I just kind of stuck with it, and yeah, the rest is history.
Oh, wow. That sounds, well, it sounds like you were kind of led into where you are today.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's beautiful. But then
Mhm.
on the other hand, did you experience any challenges or tensions as you started to either transition or move into
Yeah.
that career path?
Yeah, no, for sure. No job is perfect. I think we all, know that, right? Especially in corporate America too. As you're trying to, I guess you would say, rise to the ranks, you're going to have to deal with adversity from time to time. I think in college, you think that, hey, once I get a little bit older and I'm working as a working adult, people are way more mature. Everybody gets along and this and that. Yeah, you come to realize that there's pettiness everywhere, even at the workplace. And so I think the best advice that I got, and I got this from my dad at a young age, you try to stay out of that as much as you can. You try to stay out of any kind of gossip at the office. Pretty much be true to yourself, be a straight shooter. And even if you hear it, don't really entertain it that much. You're there for your job and you need to focus on that. Especially being a minority. As we all know, corporate America, some of these private companies are majority white, and so you need to have a certain level of professionalism when you are, I guess, when they hire you. And so it's probably important not to get kind of sucked in to some of the gossip that you might kind of hear on the office, and really just focus on doing your job and providing your clients with good results.
So can you tell me a little bit about what you do in terms of the contracts and what your
Mhm.
day to day looks like?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. So our main clients are the federal government. So I know for me, I've worked with CDC, which has obviously been in the news a lot over the last couple of years. I worked with the VA, that's Veteran Affairs, NIH, FDA. Right now, I'm focused on Department of Defense. So as far as my day to day, I do a lot of contract negotiations, a lot of reviewing of RFPs, are called requests for proposals. And I try to advise our business leaders at my company for any contractual risk that I might see that they need to be aware of. So yeah, so day to day would be a lot of negotiations, a lot of reviewing agreements, and serving as a business advisor to our leadership team.
Wow. So you talked about being in a lot of spaces that are majority white. And I'm sure, seeing a lot of, in terms of contracts, seeing a lot of, inequity and that kind of thing. How do you use your position, your role, your degrees to advance issues of equity and justice in your professional capacity?
No, definitely. So my first job, I guess when I came out here, was at PwC. They're a major company as well, and I guess what I did after I kind of built some relationships, I got close with people in the HR department. I think if you work in any kind of field, it's always beneficial to get cool with people in HR just to hear about different opportunities. And so what I like to do personally is team up with them and I asked them, like, any recruiting events that you have at HBCUs, I'm game. Call me, I'm the guy. And they love that because they want, people that, look like the people that they're going to be representing, to come to those career fairs. And so I know we talked about Howard a little bit earlier. I went to a couple of career fairs at Howard. I know at my last job, I worked with recruiting again, reached out to them and did a career fair. It was virtual because, we're still in COVID with Hampton. So I try to always try to, I get in there, I'm an advocate for HBCUs. And a lot of times, obviously, I try to plug Xavier too. I'm located on the East Coast, and the way companies work, they normally do a lot of their recruiting. It's regional based. So that's why they go to Howard or Hampton or Morgan State out here or Bowie State. So if there's an opportunity for me to get involved and to help out, I'm always there. So I would say reach out to your recruiting offices and try to work with them and partner up with them to go and meet some of those students at HBCUs.
Mhm, mhm. Wow. So, in addition to kind of advocating for HBCUs, you have a lot of connections. I think you mentioned a fraternity, and you do a lot of involvement. What about outside of your professional capacity? How do you advance issues of equity and justice outside of that that contribute to what you do?
Sure, sure. So I'm very involved with our Xavier alumni chapter in this area. And so I guess it was still centered around recruiting because I mean, obviously Xavier's one of my love, so I hold it dear to my heart. So anytime, in fact, every year really before the pandemic, there's always there's multiple career fairs in this area. And so what I do, I join some with other members of the chapter. We go out there and try to really educate the high school kids, and some of them are in ninth grade coming to these career fairs, and just to try to just inform them about HBCUs, why it's important to attend, why college is important to attend in general. Because a lot of people are coming from a variety of different backgrounds and they might just not know. So really just doing our job to just prepare them and taking this stuff further. Like, hey, I have no problem handing out my contact information to like, hey, you got any questions, call me, email me, whatever, open book here. I would love to tell you about my experience and how, from where you're at in high school or college now, 10 to 15 years later goes by faster than what you think. And I would love to, be a resource for you to help you out, to help bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in terms of your field, um, you said again, a lot of what you do is contractual and that kind of thing. In terms of getting more people interested into, law and contracts, where do you see kind of, in addition to recruitment, how do you think we can get more people interested, specifically people of color, in this field?
Yeah, that's a challenge. I mean, if you just look at how many law schools they have, especially how many black law schools they have, I think there's only four of them really, or it might be five. So it's just compared to how many majority white schools they have, it's kind of is what it is. I think Xavier does a great job. I think we have a good pre-law program. I know we did when I was there too, and I think it's still pretty good now. I think you just keep educating people. I think social media over the last few years has really open doors for people too. It's just as far as visibility, it's a click away to see what somebody is doing. And I think for a young person coming up, before that it might not be as obtainable to them because they just didn't see it. But with social media, they see this now. And I think that's a powerful tool. And I think that's helping to help bridge that gap as well too, to get people in those doors now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, how has your time at Xavier kind of informed not only the work you do, but your commitment to promoting a more just and humane society?
Yeah, I learned a lot at Xavier. It was a great 4 years. I think just the overall environment. I mean, obviously it's a Catholic school, so you I think just from being very involved since my freshman year in different organizations throughout my time there, I think that always helped me want to give back to others even after I graduated and continuing to do that today. I think that's the mission of our founders at Xavier, and I think as a Xavier right, you have to continue to do that. I'm definitely an advocate for Xavier. I try to always promote all our alumni and what we're doing. And just, if I meet somebody who's interested in going to college or HBCU, I just tell them like, hey, if you come here, it's really going to set you up for success in the future, not as a well-rounded person, not just as somebody making some pretty good money, but is a well-rounded human being.
Yeah. Um, so, so what would you leave with a current Xavier student, right? Given your story, given your journey, what you've learned, what is something that you would leave with
It's a lot. Just one. Just one.
them?
It's like I said, as you get older, it's so much that you learn, right? That I wish I could go
Yeah.
back and tell my younger self. Um, like it's, and for any job, professionalism for sure. The fact that we're minorities and we're all from Xavier going to go to a field that's probably dominated by majorities, you need to know how to be professional and maintain that professionalism. That's critical because we're always being judged. We know that you have to live with that. Um, so I would definitely say that's one of the most important things, to have integrity too. When you say you're going to do something, do it. I would say, first impressions are when you're just trying to build your own brand, professionalism and integrity is a part of your own personal brand. And so you need to always be mindful of that when you're stepping on a new field, a new adventure, a new job. Keep those things in mind as you progress. Um, Another thing on a personal note, I would say, as you enter the workplace, be careful about your finances. A lot of people don't talk about that much stuff in school, any school really. It's very important. I wish I would have known that just more in my 20s too, to be honest with you. Just say the importance of investing, saving, and not, to be real, blowing your money on drinks in DC or DC brunch or Atlanta or Miami, wherever you're at, New York. Take some of that money sometimes and put it aside and invest. Really get focused on, building your wealth at an early age.
Yeah.
So I think that's very critical for people to know who are just starting out with money.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess the last question I would ask is, what kind of are you passionate about when it comes to both professionally and civically? What are you passionate about?
Passionate about, well, I mean, family, obviously. I have a wife, two kids. My wife went to Xavier as well. Then professionally, in my own career, I want to continue to grow, and pave the way for others. I would say, civically, a more just and humane society. I think we all want that, especially after all the recent events of the last couple of years. I think just to level the playing field. And I know I mentioned investing earlier. I think a lot of that stuff just starts with being smart financially too, especially when Xavier writes. There was an article that came out that says if you graduate from Xavier, you are, I forgot the percentage, but you're, I guess, as far as your finances and economics, you're going to be, pretty well off. And I think that's important to focus on that and to learn how to manage money properly, um, to help you and the generations to come in your family. I'm very passionate about highlighting Xavier rights. For those that know me, they know I run the 1925 Society page, which it's essentially, if you go on the page and follow it, we highlight Xavier rights all day, almost every day. And that was always important to me because after going to a Howard beforehand and just seeing how other HBCUs kind of acted, I'm like, hey, we do the same things, but people don't talk about it as much. And I wanted to make sure, like, hey, somebody needs to start this, and it might as well be me and a couple of friends of mine. Let's get the word out about Xavier on the things that we're doing, because we're doing some remarkable stuff. So that's one of my other passions for real. I guess I really I take to heart.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any lasting things that you want to say that you want to leave with our students?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions about anything, you know where to find me. Like I said, I run the 1925 Society page. My name is Ronnie Favors. You can always, just send us a message. Hey, and the fact that I graduated from Xavier a few years ago now, but I have a lot of friends in all professions. Like I said, my wife's a pediatrician. I have friends who are pharmacists, dentists. I guess you name it. We have friends in that particular circle. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Wonderful, wonderful.